Okay, Jared, your last name?
Tuttle, Tuttle.
I think even I may be able to remember that.
It's usually a piece of turtle. So
Don't
replace the R with a T.
don't make it any more complicated than it is.
Right.
It rains from Ireland and Tut Hill. It does, but just make it more complicated.
Coming to you pretty much live from the brewery floor at Liability Brewing Company on Stone Avenue in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Eaves, and welcome to this episode of Beer to Whiskey. And this is one of our brewery visits, which I would be remiss if I didn't mention it's the first one that we've done, or that I've done since before COVID.
Yeah.
So it's about 3 or 4 years since we got a little lazy and just went up to Barley's and shot a bunch of stuff there, which was great. But this is our first.
We had a home studio.
Yes.
Well, after COVID, everybody wants to finally go out and do stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Now that we're finally getting something back that resembles normality.
Yeah. So we're very excited to make this our first one out, because John and I both have a love for Liability, and Big John Richards on the other end of the barrel top dais here, and also Jared Tuttle, who owns Liability.
I'm one of the small owners.
He's one of the small
It's a nice
owners.
thing about the
If he
company.
stood up, you'd go, nah, that's not.
I'm definitely not the smallest. Yeah, no. Terry and Kathy Horner are our owners, and I'm head brewer. But
Okay.
we got a little bit piece in there.
See, we should have talked a little bit more ahead of time, but I was too busy drinking. Stuff
Well, it's
just
a great point to talk about the brewery.
Yeah,
Because-
it's stuff just gets lost. So anyway, that's a great place to start. Exactly what are the roots of this place? How did it get going?
Yeah, I mean, Liability, we've been around for about 5 years now. Our anniversary is coming up next month on the 29th. But it really started with Dustin and Terry in their garage, hanging out, making home brews, drinking beers, talking about beers, just like we've all done many times in our life.
Speaking of which,
A
Yes.
lot,
Well, that's how it really should start,
and it's
Cheers, guys.
come on,
Thanks for having me.
Texas Miss
thanks
Lily.
for having us. It's such a good beer, Terry. It really
It's just
is
a drink,
such a
you know?
good beer.
We make that for the brewers. The brewers just want to have
Yeah.
their beer and
This is
the brewer's handshake.
Yeah.
a little light lager to lighten up your day.
We'll talk about this
Yeah.
in more detail coming up.
But-
And also, I want to point out that we are on the brewing floor, so there's a little bit of racket going on back here, and
But it's homey.
it's homey
friendly
and it's authentic.
Yeah.
The boiler's going, good. Fermentation happening behind us, which is music to my ears.
Yeah.
And then you got drinking going on right here. What could be better? What could be better?
Hey, we have a sign at the front door that says, be cool as a brewery. Like, just be cool. Come on, it's a brewery.
Relax.
Yeah, right.
Relax. All right. So I'm sorry, I interrupted you while you were saying got started in the garage.
Yeah, so many years ago before we opened, Dustin and Terry were good friends. They were neighbors. They kind of like became friends over beer, and then they got into home brewing back in 2010, something like that. And they just built this friendship around barley hops and barley wines, as they like to say, or barrel-aged beers. And that's kind of how it started, and built this friendship. Yeah, these babies.
He's pretty big.
But so that's how they started hanging out. Love of beer, and it turned into monthly get-togethers to brew some beer, or every other week to drink the beers they brewed, or sit around and just talk about beer. And that friendship grew and grew to the point of where they, kind of wanted to open a brewery. So here we are in Liability 5 years after us opening, and that's just kind of the beginning. I mean, how many fun things happen in the garage where you're hanging out that just spread into something new?
Yeah. Nirvana, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I started brewing, was home brewing. And I was in IT before, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, you want to come over and hang out for a Clemson game?" I'm like, "Carolina fan." And they're like, "Oh, we'll be making beer." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds pretty cool." And that's kind of what got me started. But after they did their home brewing for a little bit, and then they kind of grew up, their families started growing, having kids, things like that. They had this dream of opening a brewery. And the name Liability came from those escapades of brewing and drinking and going out and having fun. Like literally one of the definitions is like that one person that kind of becomes the liability. Or the person you're looking out for, it's like, "Hey, I'm going to bring John over." You're like, "Oh,
no.
Big John?
No, not
We
again.
better get an extra keg." Yeah, so that's kind of like the
Nobody
origin
else
of the
will be
name.
able to
Kind
get
of
work in.
So, you actually started small, as pretty much every brewer I ever met did. So, give us a little background about you. Where did that
Oh man.
progress
Me?
that brought you to the big time here at Liability?
Well, like I said, I was working for an IT company, and so that's what we started doing. Anytime he was a huge Clemson fan, they would go to the home games. Anytime there was a away game, we would brew, and that's every 2 weeks or so. So we would brew for away games, come back 2 weeks, drink the beer that we brewed, in the past, and then brew some more, and it became a rotation.
Was this here in Greenville?
Here in Greenville,
One of
yeah.
the Brew Stooges? You don't have to say it.
No, I mean, he wasn't one of the British. Greg Dean was actually the guy
Oh, okay.
that taught me. No, and he was one of my also IT mentors. So he's done a lot for me, and I would love to give him as much praise as I can,
Nice.
because I would not be where I'm at without him and beer.
Shout out to Greg Dean.
Yes, cheers, Greg.
We salute you.
Yeah. But that's hanging out, and literally the name Liability made so much sense when it was explained to me, because that's how those days became. Usually we invite our friends and maybe don't drink craft beer,
Yeah.
and as soon as they have a couple, it's we're picking them up, putting them in an Uber or a taxi or whatever to make sure they get home safe.
Man, I tell people all the time, they don't understand. This stuff is the quickest way to the floor.
Yep. Yeah, and that just kind of spread into a passion for me. I started the Brew Stooges. After that, the homebrew club in Greenville. At the time, there was another homebrew club. It's like Upstate Beer or something. I can't remember the name. But they were really small and they weren't very active. So I was like, well, I want more of this with my friends, to hang out and drink. And make beer.
Where was that headquartered?
At the time, it was just kind of loosey-goosey, but then became Thomas Creek.
Okay.
Thomas Creek was kind of the place where we would go and hang out. It was one of the only places you could get homebrew supplies.
Yep.
Yeah, we weren't getting them on the internet. And so just hanging out with those guys, learning more and more about beer, and just falling more and more in love with it. When the time came that my company was moving to a different state, I said kindly, I don't want to move. I can remember being younger and couldn't wait to get out of Greenville. Greenville's completely different now.
Yeah.
And so
I seen it when I was a kid. It was rough in pre-Civil War.
Hey, this building we're in actually, it's an old lawnmower repair shop, small motor shop.
Yep.
My dad likes to tell me, the first time you were here, you were about yay tall. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You see the growth of Greenville and everything. But then after that, the company kindly let me go. They gave me like
They
3
do-
months
they
to go.
do
It
that.
was great. But I called Tom at Thomas Creek after an interview at GHS for IT, and they took me down to the basement. I'm like, Tom, I don't want the cubicle anymore. Like, can I just come work for the brewery? It's me and my dog. Like, I got not a lot to lose. So, and it worked out. Here we are.
Yeah, apparently so.
Sometimes you gotta take that leap. And that's kind of what I did.
When you find that thing that you're supposed to do, it becomes painfully obvious what you're supposed to do, I think.
Well, and I was not supposed to sit in the dark in the cubicle.
Right, yeah.
It was way
And
too
when you-
tall.
That's what I've been good at so far, is finding what I'm not supposed to do.
John's got that massive.
Yeah,
He's-
seriously.
He's only probably got another 16 jobs he could run through before he's.
Yeah, I'll be tapped out.
And just
All
like,
work for everybody.
it's just the way it happens. It'll be the last one that you'll go, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
And all that experience from the past, maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, it all comes together. It really does. It all gets woven into that tapestry, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah, if I had to guess when I was younger that making beer for a living would be what I was doing, I wouldn't guess that at all.
And yet here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. So, what kind of distribution are you guys doing? I know. You can. Used to be able to find you guys at Barley's all the time, but where is it out beyond South Carolina or beyond?
Yeah, we're statewide. Myrtle Beach and Charleston are some of our bigger markets, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, which is, you remember back in Myrtle Beach they had a bad nickname, I was probably saying, but now it's much better right here. So we're statewide.
I'm not sure the nickname is passed though.
It probably has. And it's about. But nowadays, I
We're
think
trying to be kind.
there are a lot of those places that are just growing. I mean, even Charleston right now. How many breweries are in Charleston?
Yeah, man.
I wonder before.
It's nuts down there.
But that's we're statewide. That's about 60%, 70% of our sales. Which when we opened, we wanted to be taproom central, and we just got to a point where the demand was not. We weren't able to meet that.
Yeah.
And people were asking, "What can you get?" And so once we got into distro, it blew the lid off.
I think that's a really organic way to go. I mean, I don't think you should start going, we're going to distribute beer in 20 states.
Yeah.
You start by going, we're going to make some really good beer and sell it to people. And when they start asking for more of it, we'll make more.
You start figuring out what people like,
Right.
Because every brewery is different. That's the beautiful part. Coming from Thomas Creek in the time I was there, I'm still friends with every other brewer that has been there and gone. We call it the alumni and then the upstate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys did that big collaboration. There's 13 of you that came back that are brewing in other breweries. They came back to brew that big collaboration beer with Thomas Creek a few years ago.
Yeah.
And there may be more of them now.
That was a lot of fun. Just seeing some of the guys I haven't seen in a long time.
No doubt.
And that was when Tom was still with us, and just being able to hang out with him. I'll say he teared up a little bit, which is that's hard to see from Tom.
Yeah.
Right now, we've been focusing a lot on keeping our cores going because that distro and the expectation of what our customers want is what we really want to make sure that people get the beers that they think they're going to drink every time.
What do you call your core beers? What are your
Yeah, well, we
house beers?
used to not try and call them cores,
Well,
but it's
right.
quickly turned into
That's again, I think that's a good organic way to go. You don't decide what beers are going to be your core beers. Your people do.
Absolutely. And we're here to brew beer for people.
Yeah.
So, probably one of our big sells is Mortal Walnut.
Yeah.
It's, our version of like every IPA kind of in one. It's a little juicy, it's a little hoppy, it's clear.
Yeah.
And it's kind of meets the needs for anybody that likes an IPA.
Yeah, it's a really good all-purpose IPA.
Yeah. And the name's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's Mortal Wombat, and it's a little wombat on the label. Nunchucks and stuff. And so we got Mortal Wombat, our Feral Garden Gnome, which that was very surprising that we were able to make a Belgian blonde or a Belgian beer, period, that people wanted to drink.
Right.
It's, sometimes one of those styles in areas that people aren't so used to craft beer that maybe stray away from it. And we were very accepted at that, and it's been on since first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably our most award-winning beer too.
What, the gnome? The
Gnome,
garden
yeah.
gnome? Really?
We
We just did that. Just did a little segment while you were off goofing off or doing whatever you were doing.
It's called Work.
Well, work.
So is this.
Yeah, so is this. Look for that on the.
3 years in a row with
that's a
the
teaser.
US Open.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. We're waiting to hear results for this year and hoping for a fourth.
Right? That'd be awesome. You guys did that. We talked about it a little bit the other day. The strawberry version of that beer, such a small scale thing, and I'm so glad I got some because I came in here, I saw it on your board, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna like that." But I ordered one because of what I do. I kind of feel like I have to. And I've said many times, I won't pass judgment on a beer until I get through a full pint of it or a full pour of it or whatever it is. Because 2 ounces of beer it's not going to tell you much about what you're doing. But I sat down with that beer and it won me over quick, and it won me over for real. That beer was delicious.
Thank you. Yeah, we've done a cherry version before, which did pretty well.
Yeah.
And last anniversary, we had a hibiscus peppercorn, which we're going to do as a cast.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to do that again this
nice.
year.
That'll be fun.
We've talked about doing bigger batches of it as soon as I have more time.
Right.
We've literally
Famous last word.
we are growing exponentially, which is amazing and scary all at the same time.
Yeah.
We have 4 new tanks coming, 2 more of the 10 barrels
I
you see
was going to
behind
say,
us.
looking behind us, man, how much capacity are you guys brewing with now? How much are you guys putting out?
We right now we're on track of pushing about 1,400 barrels. Last year we were a little over 1,100.
Nice.
Honestly, I think we'll probably get up to 1,800 because we're just now getting into the summer.
Yeah.
But we started with the 3 fermenters in the Bright.
Yeah.
And every year we bought at least 2 or 3 tanks. And this year we got 4.
That's bonkers.
Yeah. Couple
Congratulations.
Yeah, a couple horizontal tanks too, which I'm really really happy
even
about.
better. Jared's really good at brewing lagers.
I just love lagers. And that brings us to Ultra Secret New.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
That's probably our next biggest core brand. I can't make it fast enough.
This beer might take over Greenville. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, when people start really understanding what this beer is so good and so clean and still so flavorful and engaging. It's magic, man. This beer is magic. This beer is 4.2,
4.2.
and it drinks. There's so much going on subtly, and it's so easy.
I'm trying not to drink it all.
I know it's so easy to just knock this back, and it's crisp and dry on the finish. There's a little bit of that grainy cereal sweetness right up front.
Yeah.
There's a body to it. It's still at 4.2. It's not thin. It's really, really well done.
Well, thanks, man. And I guess I just go ahead and say we just got a World Beer Cup medal for this. We placed bronze.
Big news.
The only in the U.S. that placed in the light lager category, which was their 4th largest category, 220 entries.
Yeah.
Wow. A Miller Lite won a couple years ago. So you kind of put that in perspective. It's such an easy beer to mess up sometimes.
It is, and I've talked about that before. That I'll judge a beer brewery much more harshly on their light beers than I will on their other stuff because it's so easy to mask imperfections in a bigger or darker or more hopped beer. Something this light and delicate, it's really hard to get it right.
Yeah,
It's really hard to get right every time.
We got to hit all the points.
Yeah.
We have a great team. I'll tell you, since we've been growing, we've brought on a few other people that really that I want to make sure they focus on those things. So when we go into it, every time something goes through, one person's making sure. I mean, we're all working on it, but making sure that it's that right. And that's very important to us. It's just consistency and just control.
Well, it takes a lifetime to make a reputation and 10 minutes to ruin it.
No, you're not. Yeah, absolutely. The first sip you have, I want it to be something that you want to be like, I need to know stuff.
Yep. Yeah, as it should be. So is this I'll start asking some nerdy questions. Is this an all barley beer or is there any adjuncts in this?
No adjuncts, so no corn, no
That's freaking amazing.
no rice, just straight pilsner. And it speaks for itself.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and again, I think that's one of the reasons why it's not thin. It's got that little bit of body, enough body to make it give it a little bit of oomph, if you will, versus just sucking down something that you can't taste.
Well, and when we started, trying to find those grants that we wondered who we were going to be as liability, besides the character that gets in trouble. Just what our focus is, and we focus a lot on doing very natural things. We use absolutely no animal products. Everything is food grade. Even we're making seltzers right now, and it's just one of those things I think breweries need to do. because we
You're gonna get people that
There's a
that
whole
don't drink
generation
Yeah.
that's all they want to drink.
and we
And
only
that's
do beer.
okay.
We don't have a kitchen, and then with South Carolina, you're not allowed to serve other people's beer or wine or cider. So we want to make sure there's something for somebody else. And on our cider side, it's okay, all natural sugars, fermented all the way out, and then we back sweeten with real fruit puree
Yeah.
instead of adding like extracts or anything like that, because we want it to be real.
So I'll ask you another nerdy question, which you don't have to answer if it's a
I like
trade
dirty
secret,
questions.
but
I can
how do you clarify a beer like this?
All I have to do is sit here and drink. It's great.
We're using no animal products.
No animal products. We were able to find a food grade clarifier.
Yeah.
It would make it nice and clean.
Yeah.
Usually people use gelatin or fish splatter
isinglass,
or
right,
isinglass. Yeah. And that's all. That's all great.
Yeah.
We had to find that product.
So do you get to market your beer as vegan?
Technically, yeah. It's probably not something we usually put on the labels, but it's all natural. Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vegan beer.
There you go. There. The more you know.
Yeah, and we don't use it on everything. A lot of it like comes from time and just like how we treat the beer, crashing or make sure that it's properly cold to do that naturally.
Right.
And so we're very sparing when we need to do that because we'd rather again keep it natural.
Yeah. And I applaud that. I mean, seriously.
Hey.
It's a decision that affects everything you do. It's not a decision you make lightly.
You're absolutely right. Anytime I'm looking for any product that I think I need something new to find a new edge, it's a lot of research looking around to make sure we get that. But that also brings me a little bit about we're a B Corp brewery. So B Corp breweries, there's not a lot of them. I don't know, cheap work here.
I don't know what that means.
So it's a benefit corporation. So instead of being like a C Corp or whatnot, we're designated as B Corp. That means that we focus on our employees and the community first. There's a grading scale. You have to get 80 points to be admitted. And you can ask Kathy Horner, our other owner, wife to Derry, how hard it was for her.
I bet.
Submitting, telling the people that we pay our bartenders very well, like a living wage.
Yeah.
But to include that, how do we mark or show that, or that we capture all the water we use, or we use spunding valves so we don't have to use as much CO2 to explain it.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear someone's doing that.
And so, on the sustainability side, that B Corp is all about sustainability, to make sure everybody has a living wage and all that. But there's only 20-ish breweries in the U.S.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I would have guessed it was a
36
small number, but I wouldn't have guessed that many.
worldwide. It's very low.
Yeah.
And when you think of how many breweries there are in the U.S. now, I think it's
We're pushing 10,000.
pushing. Yeah, I was gonna say we're almost near 10. 1%?
Yeah.
Less than?
Less than.
So we're very, very happy to have that, and we want to continue to do that. And about a year from now, we have to renew. So every 2 years, we have to renew.
And make sure you're still doing what you said you were
Oh,
going to
we
do.
are. We keep doing it as long as they think that we're doing it.
Right. Now we have to convince them.
Yeah, to get the points. But that's a huge part of who we are. Just being a part of the community.
Yeah.
We get some of our grain locally from Carolina Malt House up the street in North Carolina, and they get their malt 10 miles from there, so it cuts down even on CO2. Or trucks go through and whatnot. So we just look at all of it. Even our hot supplier, our number one hot supplier, Crosby, is B Corp. So if we're working with somebody that's B Corp, even if it's a little extra money, we'd much rather go with somebody that has the same focus as us.
Tell us about some project that you've got coming up beer-wise that you're excited about.
Well, one of the first projects we did was the barrels, and trying to get some more barrel-aged stuff out. And being that old natural side, we tried to make like barrel-aged beers that just came straight from the barrels. It's like one of my favorites, just barrel-aged stout. I mean, maybe not the hazelnut or this and that and the other, but you get all the characteristics of stout beer. So that was one of the first. As we continued, the seltzers came through, and now I've seen a huge market increase in the lagers. We have a double block on tap right now.
I think that's really coming in the beer world.
And it excites me so
Yeah.
much that I get to make lagers and people want them.
Right? Yeah.
We have a doppelbock on tap right now. There was a Dortmunder before. Like I almost couldn't get the doppelbock in tank quick enough when that Dortmunder was going away.
Yeah.
And German Pilsner before that, and they were just flying. So it kind of influenced when we bought these new tanks to get into some lagers. So lagering tanks. That's something I'm
that's
excited.
super cool. I am so glad to hear that too with the horizontal tanks coming too. That's
Really
that's gonna.
excites me.
I can imagine,
Yeah.
and as it should. Your people and the owners, of which you are one, but your primary owners are like, yeah, we're gonna do this for you. We're gonna.
You know what? That's perfect. I should say that too, because that's being the owner. Terry and Kathy are such great people.
Yeah.
They are my boss, but they're great people. It's been hard for me to even consider leaving or anything like that. Once you become full time and you have employee stock, just like new owners.
Yeah.
So pretty much anybody that's here is full time is an owner.
Yeah.
Actually, everybody you've talked to, all my
There
people
you
that
go.
make parts in the
Yeah.
they have ownership in the business.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's very unique.
Yeah.
It's
And
really.
it gives another passion.
How about
to-
somebody that just hangs around in here and drinks a lot of beer?
Well, you're technically an owner too because you drink our beer. As long as you have good words to say to your friends, so we're
I didn't prepare for retirement very well, so I'm really interested in this whole.
Oh man! But and that makes us look at the future when we start to expand, because it's starting to come. When we get these tanks in, we're at capacity.
Yeah. You look like you're at capacity now.
Keep finding random spots we can put stuff
Right?
in. Yeah,
You have to
real
attach
tiny.
stuff to the ceiling pretty soon.
This used to be part of the tap room we're sitting in right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
We had nice couches and like curtains and soft lighting and now it's just beer.
Yep.
Tanks from it.
I think it's a beautiful thing.
So is anybody thinking about what's next? If things keep going the way they're going, then
No,
what?
we've had many ideas, like opening up a bigger production facility or something like that. Still keeping it us, like expanding our capacity, maybe not so much as brewing wise. I think sometimes there's a danger in going too big too fast.
Yeah.
But the laws in South Carolina have recently changed, only like 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now we're legally allowed to sell kegs to a customer,
Right.
and they can go away with it.
Oh, is that
Also,
right?
you're-
I did not know that.
And you're allowed to sell kegs in bond.
Correct. So
Yeah.
bond and trade back
Yeah.
and forth. So that kind of opens up another idea of like, instead of expanding and getting bigger, maybe another location where we can repeat what we're doing.
Yeah.
That bond to transfer, it's on whatever the minimum is of one brewer. You brew 600 here, you can trade 600 back.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of a cool idea. Maybe it's opening up another brewery that has a barrel program mostly, and then also cores, and we can send barrels over here.
Yep. Because that's been one of the weird things about South Carolina. Like, I'll use Yeehaw as an example because they moved down here from Johnson City.
Man.
They're not one of ours. That's all I will say about that. But when they moved
Yeah, I like
here,
the guys in Yeehaw.
yeah, no, absolutely, no, I got nothing bad to say.
But coming from another state down to South Carolina,
they're not
Yeah.
our beer. But when they came to those
Carpetbaggers.
two buildings. You stay out of here, East Tennessee.
Hey, the brewer there is Lee, and Lee is an amazing guy. He has a very similar story of starting like from the bottom, working his way up. It was nice. CBC was in Nashville this year, so we were actually able to do a beer with them, and they put it on tap in Nashville.
Nice.
Where the headquarters for Yeehaw is and all. But
So
when you're
when they
coming from
moved
somewhere
here,
else, it's-
they moved into two buildings that aren't adjacent, that don't share a wall.
Yeah.
And because those two buildings have two different street numbers, they couldn't take beer on a hand truck across the sidewalk to the other. They had to sell their beer to a distributor.
Get out of
who then had
town.
to sell it back to their tap room.
That is a
Instead
silly.
of an oversight, yeah.
That's silly.
That's the law we just corrected, or part of that law.
Yeah, and with them, the bigger issue is that the bar side is not a brewery, so they
Right.
still
Oh, is
stuck
they?
in
Oh
it.
man. We're gonna have to put a homebrew kit in the back of that brewery. Call it a day. Or
Yeah,
back of that
if
tap
we make
room.
5 gallons every
Yeah.
day. Yeah, so that, coming from another state, coming in, the laws in every state are different.
Oh yeah.
So it can be troublesome to He goes, well, we're just going to open a brewery just like we did before. And, well, did you know that you can't do this?
Right. Yeah. And every state's got its own weird laws about some weird things, and we're no different. So
Absolutely. No. But at least we're making changes.
Right.
The state's starting to realize that, like,
the 14th
yeah,
century is gone.
we're in the Bible Belt now.
We're on the buckle of the Bible Belt.
We are on the Bible. That's right. We keep it tight.
Yeah, seriously. You should have seen this town 30 years ago, Russ. Even before then, I guess, because by the 90s we were growing up.
Well, even in the 90s, like, you don't go downtown. Like, once it gets dark, you don't go
absolutely not.
Yeah. And now all those areas have grown, the Unity Park and everything like that. The buildings over there where Southern Side Brewing is.
Oh, yeah.
Even
All
up
that
here
stuff
is-
that stuff was abandoned for years.
It's South Park used to have a Soto soap op. It's just stuck in my head. It's the Soto soap ops happening. It seems right. Yeah.
So you guys don't have a kitchen here, but I know you have some sort of arrangement with the folks next door. What's that all about?
Yeah, good fences make good neighbors. But
Right.
in this state, in this place, we have a very open common space. So Moe's Barbecue and World Peace is right next to us. Barbecue and pizza, and we work very well with them. We have their menus behind the bar. We're like, hey, I'm interested in some food. You can go over, and they'll come back over here, and they'll bring the food to you. You can go over there with your beer and hang out. So it's nice that we don't have to worry about the kitchen. Make sure that people have something to put on their stomach while they're drinking.
Yeah.
But I don't have to worry about the kitchen staff.
Yeah.
Because that's
another can of worms.
Yeah, but you'd probably see that when we expand. It's again with those walls and everything that it just makes it so much more open to do things.
Right.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah. Being on Whetstone, being downtown, we're kind of on the outskirts, not like right in the main street and all.
Right.
So it's
But
not too busy.
You can't be more than a 10-minute walk from like
It's not bad. And if the trolley's running, you can jump right off.
Right.
You know?
Jump you off on the right here.
We have great customers too. That's one thing. We have a couple people that are just like always here. Always sitting in those seats. The norms.
Yeah. And you need those people.
Yeah.
Those are your evangelists.
That we do a society is what we call it. We don't like have a membership or anything like that. There's basically a tablet where you just go and you put your email in, and you get points for just attending things or checking on a tap or liking something on Instagram. And then there's a rating for all of us that you get the points. So the last year, whoever won every month got to make beer with us. So we even
That's
that
a
part of
cool
the
idea.
we've gone through a little over half of them now, and every time we make it, it gives us a chance to explore new ideas because the people that are coming in and drinking our beer is like, oh well, I want to make a West Coast pale ale with you.
Right.
We had somebody want to do it for Brzezinski, which was that was fun. It's hard to be able to make those beers unless somebody wants to drink them.
Yeah.
Right now on tap, there's it's Make It So Hazy, or Make It So Hazy.
Yeah.
Trek reference there. We're a bunch of nerds. But that beer is kind of a mix between a hazy and like a more bitter beer. And, and it's fun to do those things. And it gives us ideas for the future.
Sure.
And it gets back to the people.
Well, and it gets you very involved with your clientele, with your guests.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun walking around and like milling in a bag and talking about like the salts and what we do to the water and why we do things a certain way. We recently bought a little $100 grill from Walmart, so that makes it even more fun to go out there and grill stuff. It's a little thing sometimes.
Grill ingredients or grill like hot dogs?
Grill like sausages from Revival and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Man, those things are.
Well, my question was for beer or for food.
Yeah, perfect. For us.
Yeah.
About once a week.
I go out there like toasted coconut flakes over a charcoal grill or something. I'm like, that's dedication.
Yeah, we just like to have a good time, and I love Moe's. I've eaten enough Moe's. So
I get that. I mean, we all get that everywhere we go. The restaurant that you're in and the restaurant you're right next to, you've had enough.
But it's just kind of
Their barbecue is really good though.
yeah, it is. Their wings. That's my recommendation. Is get the wings.
Yeah, there you go. Heard it here first.
We're turning and burning. We are at the point where we have an empty tank we need to fill.
Yeah.
And making sure we get those going. We want to still have some variety.
Yeah.
So our board is very much, we want to have something for everybody. So sometimes I'm sitting up there brewing, looking at the board and be like, oh, I need to put something like this in, you know, an amber ale or maybe an alt beer or something like that, Vienna lager to fit that kind of
Well,
malty.
I love that you guys have had a good variety on that board, and you know when I first started coming up here, you know, you never know. You walk in the door, you have no idea what might be on the board today, and it's a little more consistent today because you're going to have this beer on every time, you're going to have Gardonome on every time. But I love that you still walk in and there's something different up there nearly every time you come in.
As long as we have the time to do it.
Yeah. So are you guys brewing every day?
We are definitely at, we were somewhere around 2 to 3 times a brew last year and 3 to 4, usually about 4.
Yeah. And that's 4 brew days is a lot of beer.
It's a lot, you know, 10 barrels, 310 gallons every day.
Yeah.
I try my best not to be here on the weekends.
Right.
Doesn't always happen, but yeah, we're continuing to push that market. We want to experiment as much as we can. Sometimes just hit something on the head that works. In fact, like our every other IPA series, we haven't always done what I would call the best IPAs. Everybody's kind of picky on what they really want, and so that series came out so we could experiment. We do different hops, we do them different ways. So every time you get every other IPA, it is different than the time before. And we do that on purpose.
Yeah.
There was something they talked about dip hopping. One of the Crosby recipes. What's dip hopping? Start looking into it, and it's this cool way of doing like low isomerization on the hops in the tank, and it's fun, you know? It gives you the chance to try something new that you've maybe never done.
It does 2 things, I think, for you. You get a new beer out there every time you brew it, but it's an expected thing. It's part of a series. It's related to the beer that came before it in some way.
Yeah, and it's always fun to have somebody be like, oh man, it's out. But like, don't worry, we'll have something new come in. Or when are you doing that double IPA again? I've been hearing that a lot recently. Well, you know,
Yeah.
we'll get there. You know, maybe it's really hot out. You want to drink an 9% IPA right now? Yes. Okay. Oh man, but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, boys, all good things must come to an end.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to talk about, Jared, or anything else you want to ask, John?
We covered a lot here. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I feel like I sit here and talk for hours with you
Well,
guys, you know?
it's beer talk, that's why.
Right.
I would like to say that I'm just very appreciative of the customers that come and enjoy our beer and the people that are asking for it. So if you enjoy our beer, tell somebody and let them come to the tap room and say hello. Our staff's very knowledgeable. They love to just sit there and chat with you. And the people is what makes it for us. And our anniversary again is coming up on the 29th of July. It's free admission. Just come hang out. We have
It's the 29th of July.
29th of
Oh,
July.
good. I will be in town.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
I expect to see you guys.
I thought it was the 29th of this
I
month.
think we're on the hook at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just it. Hey, be cool. It's a brewery.
Yep.
And I really appreciate everybody that drinks our beer and that enjoys it.
Well, John and I will try and do a better job of that. We'll try and pick up some of the slack.
All right.
All right, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
So damn lucky. See you next time.